At this time, I call to order the regular meeting of the Maricopa County Community College District Governing Board for April 23rd, 2019. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Adrian Trujillo, South Mountain Community College Student Governance Board Chair.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Presenting on behalf of student life at South Mountain Community College is again Adrian Trujillo.
Good evening, Governing Board President Linda Dorr, members of the board, Chancellor Maria Hopper-Marinate, members of the Chancellor's Executive Council, and guests in attendance. My name is Adrian Trujillo, and I am the Chair of Student Governance Board at South Mountain Community College for the 2018-2019 academic year. I'll be graduating this May with my Associate in Business and an Accounting certification. Thank you. Our mission this year at South Mountain Community College is to promote collaboration amongst clubs to engage the student body on campus. Each year in the past, we've had student governance do a presentation, and to demonstrate our mission, we wanted to change that up this year. So to do that, we decided to invite the STEMS Club on campus to showcase their achievements and how they've made a strong impact to the student body on campus. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the STEMS Club.
Board members and guests, my name is Soyasha Pandey and I'm the president of the SMC Stubbs Club. I'll be graduating in the fall 2019 from South Mountain with an associate in science with a certificate of sustainability, and then I'll be transferring to ASU to major in aerospace engineering.
Good evening, my name is Juan Rodriguez. I am mechanical engineering major. I'll be graduating in spring of 2020 with a degree in engineering technology and transferring to the University of Arizona. I'm sorry, Arizona State University. ASU.
So I'd like to begin by introducing the SMCC Stubbs Club. The Stubbs Club stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics with the added element of sustainability. Our mission as a club is to promote the impact small clubs and individual effort can have in promoting a global chain of change towards sustainability. So to work towards this goal, the STEMS Club has been working on the Botanical Garden that's present on the campus for the last year. The garden is a beautifully designed garden and at the perfect location, but it had been ignored and filled with dead plants and runaway aloe. So the STEMS Club saw this as an opportunity to bring fun and entertaining changes in the garden so that the garden not just serves as a place to hang out, but also as a botanical resource where the students can go and learn about the new plants. So we took out the old plants, we put in new plants like birds of paradise, mammillaria cactus, etc. And we were also able to make great use of the new engineering lab. In the engineering lab, we made some of these projects and put it in the garden. So as you can see, the first one is a rock display that represents the various geological layers. The second one is a project that I worked on, and through this project I was able to learn a lot about using power tools and the laser etcher that's present on campus, and I was able to make a solar system display that runs along the pathway of the garden. And the third one is are plant signs that we made in the garden. So they were laser etched and they represent the new plants that we put in, and so that students can identify and learn about the plants that we put in the garden. So these were some of the past projects, and to talk about our upcoming projects, I'd like to invite Juan.
I would like to say it will be Arizona State University that I will be attending. One of the projects that I'm very, very excited about and I'm looking forward to get started on is our Harnessing the Power of the Sun project. Thanks to the support of South Mountain Community College Executive Board, we have been able to get this project going here, hopefully right after the semester ends. The construction of a pergola with actual solar panels that will have a charging station for our students so they can charge their phones, charge their tablets, charge their laptops. It should encourage sustainability and also promote a little gathering place for our students to hang out, relax, charge their phones, and whatnot. The use of recycled concrete tables and benches from around the campus that are no longer in use are going to come in and fill that space as well. Like Soyasha mentioned, we have redesigned the signs and the post in that botanical garden using the equipment in our laboratory, and should also create an environmental awareness to our students on campus, just so they can know, oh wow, this is aloe. It's a different type of aloe than what I'm usually used to. Ooh. This is a rendition from one of our students of what the actual pergola will look like. And like I mentioned, we should hopefully get that started here at the end of the semester. So when our students come back in the fall, they have a cool place to hang out at. Trash Buddy. So Trash Buddy was a program that we actually did this past Thursday on our Earth Day event that we had on campus. It promotes waste management, proper waste management, and it's also to encourage just the fact that a lot of the stuff we just throw away is actually recyclable. A lot of those products we can easily recyclable, but a lot of us just throw it in a regular trash can. I am going to go ahead and adjust this to a full presentation if that's okay with everyone. And this is one of the events that we actually took to the San Xavier mine down in San Xavier, Arizona. The mine is actually operated by the U of A, and it's actually ran by actual students from the University of Arizona. Another trip that we took to Biosphere 2 gave our students kind of an awareness of how climate change actually affects our vegetation. And another trip that we actually took to the ASU, Arizona State University, Sun Devils, which I will be attending. Their solar panel research laboratory. As you can see, they had to go through a very, very clean room process to get just into the laboratory. Very interesting experience for our students.
Like I mentioned, our mission as a club is to promote the STEM field, but also while being conscious about our environment. So we aim to aware people that sustainability is not a luxury, but it is a necessity, and it is not a problem, but it is the solution. So we're trying to lead as role models by bringing in small changes in our day-to-day lives, like using Trash Buddy or using solar energy instead of non-renewable sources of energy, and putting in plants and try to make our environment more green. So by doing all of these small changes, what we're trying to do is inspire the next generation towards sustainability, and I encourage every single one of us present here tonight to do the same. Thank you. As a token of our appreciation for the board members, we were able to make some coasters in the engineering lab using a laser etcher. So if Adrian could pass that out. Thank you. Again, thank you board members, and thank you everyone present here. Have a good night.
Thank you both for a very interesting and engaging presentation, and good luck at ASU. The audience should know that our photographs have been etched on these coasters, so it's very special. Yeah. Presenting for the Faculty Executive Council, John Champel.
Good evening, President Thor, members of the board, chancellor, CEC, fellow faculty, staff, and guests. My name is John Champel. I am in my 13th year as a residential faculty member at Phoenix College, where I teach biology. I'm also the currently elected president of the Faculty Executive Council, the official representative body of the residential faculty of the Maricopa Community Colleges. And I'm delighted to have this opportunity to speak to you this evening. Tonight, I address you all for the last time as president of the Maricopa Community Colleges Faculty Association. Keith Hefner, Mesa Music Faculty, will assume the duties of elected faculty president beginning May 7th. Patrice Menango, Mesa Philosophy and Religious Studies faculty, has been elected president-elect and will assume her duties on that same day. I will transition to the position of past president for a one-year term. It has been my great honor serving the Faculty Association as president this past year. I want to thank all of my colleagues, both faculty and staff, across the district for their help, their support, and for doing what we could to salvage a challenging year. They have been with me all the way as I've tried to accomplish the tasks which our district's circumstances set before us with dignity, respect for process, and always guided by the core values of institutional shared governance. I'm deeply proud of Maricopa's faculty and of the work we do every day on behalf of our students. Obviously teaching, service, guided pathways, curricular innovations, the list goes on and is long. In that vein, I'm particularly proud of my fellow elected faculty senate leadership at our 10 colleges and my fellow association officers. These people have committed themselves, sometimes thanklessly and under intense scrutiny, giving unheard of amounts of their time and efforts. All of this was driven by their passion to sustain and enhance the conditions, ensuring that this community college system delivers for our students and for all who work here to serve them. To paraphrase former Governing Board President Alfredo Gutierrez, after all is said and done, we can't forget that the actual magic of learning happens in the classroom, in the interactions between a faculty member and a student. This magic, our profession, has been an incredibly powerful force for the hundreds of thousands of students we have served and will continue to be for the hundreds of thousands of students we will serve into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Champel, for your service, and we look forward to working with Keith Hefner. At this time, we move to the Chancellor's Report. Dr. Harper-Marinick.
Thank you, Dr. Thor, members of the board. We have two presentations tonight, and I would like to make also one introduction of students before I do that. And this is the last board meeting before graduation, so to all of the employees who are serving our students, making sure that they feel safe and welcomed and engaged in learning, I say thank you for what you do, and thank you for helping our students get to the finish line this year. As I think all of you know, people in the audience too, the governing board has adopted a resolution to add a student trustee to the board. And there is a committee of students that are working diligently on creating bylaws that will be proposed to the board. And two of them are here tonight, and I would like to acknowledge their work. Adrian Trujillo, I think he may have just left. He was the student from South Mountain who provided the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Haley Hardy from Mesa Community College is here. So thank you for volunteering to do that work. The first of the two presentations is to recognize our honor students, PTK students that have regional and international awards. And to do the presentations, I asked Dwayne Oakes, who is faculty director for the Center for Community and Civic Engagement at Mesa Community College, to please go to the podium.
Good evening, President Thor, members of the board, Dr. Harper-Marinick, members of CEC, and guests. It's my pleasure to be here tonight and do what we really are here for, and that's to celebrate students. And I pondered a little bit as I was preparing this, even as a past student. I was a first-generation student coming here, and because of the student leadership experiences I had, changed my life forever, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. But today, it's to honor and to recognize some of our students. I'm going to have them stand, and specifically Christopher to come over. Christopher Hunter serves as our Phi Theta Kappa president, And last week I had the chance to escort him to the ACC, or the American Association of Community Colleges, where he was recognized as a first team All-USA member, the top 20 students in the United States, and he was presented one of the awesome medallions that he's wearing around is also the beautiful obelisk, but also a $5,000 check and many other checks to help pay for it. Christopher's going to highlight some of the accomplishments and some of the different things that we were able to accomplish through Phi Theta Kappa this year.
President Thor, members of the board, Dr. Harper Marinick, and members of the CEC and guests. My name is Christopher Hunt, and I've served as chapter president for this past year. This is the end of my third year of involvement with Phi Theta Kappa, and it has changed my life significantly. I will be graduating next month with an associate's in elementary education, and I will be transferring to NAU in the fall, looking for a bachelor's in elementary and special education. As I've served with my board of officers, it has been a tremendous honor to serve them as president, and I'd look to highlight some of the amazing things that we've accomplished. As president, I also want to personally thank Secretary Wynn and board member Narini, who will be attending our induction ceremony this Friday. I thank you for responding to my email. It's going to be wonderful having two of our wonderful governing board members there, so thank you so much. Earlier this month, we went to Orlando, Florida for our international convention, PTK Catalyst. And these are just some of the awards that you see here that we received there, as well as last month at our regional convention at Rio Salado College just next door. Our chapter officer team was named both in the region and internationally as a distinguished chapter officer team, one of the top 31 officer teams in the entire Honor Society. We were also named as a 5-star chapter and a Reach Rewards chapter, which means that we had obtained at least 15% of our membership acceptance. This is a newer reward, and we were very proud to have earned that this year. So, our Honors in Action project, which was led by our Honors in Action officer, Abby Atono Rodriguez, won in the region and in the internationally as a Distinguished Honors in Action project. And then we were named as a distinguished chapter, which puts us among the top 10% of all chapters in Phi Theta Kappa, of which there's about 1,300. I love our advisors, and therefore I'd like to recognize some of them while they're not here with us tonight. Deborah Olinger, who is a newer advisor, received our Paragon Award for New Advisors. And Vicky Gallegos, who is actually retiring this year, was named a distinguished officer, and they are among the top 15 of advisors to receive those awards. Our advisor team, of which we have 11 advisors, was also named a distinguished advisor team as well. So I'm grateful to have worked with all of them and look forward to seeing how they do in the future.
I told Chris I needed to recognize our students because, again, this is why we're here. Each year, each chapter gets to nominate one student as a member, and one of our students received in Arizona the Distinguished Member Award and in the international level, Distinguished Member. And Christopher received here in Arizona the Distinguished Officer Award, and at international, he also received the Distinguished Chapter Officer Award. And he also entered, for the first time, and we've had, his Honors Case Study Challenge, and he was one of just a few students in the world to receive that award, and so that was pretty awesome as well. And that came with another little scholarship as we went through it. We also had 3 students, and two of them are here. If they can stand, be recognized. We have 3 students that were elected as regional officers. Phi Theta Kappa is the only student organization in the state of Arizona that I know of that has 10 colleges represented, and they elect a governing body, and one of them is represented here at Zach is our central district officer, so all the 10 colleges in the state of Arizona and all the other chapters elect officers. And so we have a regional president, and then central district vice president and different officers. So both of them, 3 of our students were elected. One's public relations officer. Zach's the vice president of our central district, which is the 10 Maricopa colleges. And Abby is our chief supporting officer, which is pretty amazing as well. We're also excited as we celebrated Christopher this week. They also announced all the other awards. And so we have, out of the 4 students were recognized in the whole nation. The first one, Christopher, was all USA academic team. That's the first 20 students. Rachel Mangini was the Coca-Cola Gold. That's the next 50 students. Zachary Zapata was the next one, Coca-Cola Silver. That's the next 50 students. And Victoria Johnston, who is here, she can stand to be recognized, was Coca-Cola Bronze. And then that's the next student. So out of thousands of students at every community college, we had 4 students that were recognized, and that's really important as well. We also are really excited, and I think tomorrow will be official announcements to find out who wins things, but we have 3 of our students who are also Jack Kent Cook semifinalists. And that scholarship changes lives forever. It's worth $40,000 a year, up every year, wherever they want to go. But more importantly, 2 of my students that are actually in this have also gone on after they graduate, one's at UCLA Dental School and one's at medical school, because it pays up to $75,000 for their graduate rate. So for students that are not engaged and take opportunities, but this is a changes lives forever. And we have 3 of our students, and Ivan Quintana is here as one of our students that we hope will find out things in the future. So we have 3 students today. I think the most important reason why we're here is to celebrate students in the classroom, in the community, and on campus. And without providing better students and better citizens, that's what we're here for, is to change our communities and change our world, and that's what this is all about. And thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much for bringing us all of that wonderful news, and particular congratulations to Christopher and the other students on both the awards you're receiving and those that we're keeping our fingers crossed that you're going to receive. Chancellor?
Thank you, Dr. Thor. The next presentation, I ask Dr. Karen SATA to please go to the podium to make the introductions. Oh, well,
Yes, I wrote down what the students were supposed to say
okay.
to properly address you, but I didn't keep track of that myself. So
You can
I will
that's
say to the
Just say
governing board,
hello.
to the hello all of you, hello all of you dignitaries, and we are a little edgy and clubsy, so maybe it's appropriate that I do this improperly. But I would like, because we always say in Club Z that we want the students to have the microphone, and it's great to hear all the students speaking. So we've got 6 more for you. Right?
Good evening, President Thor, members of the board, Chancellor Report, members of the CEC, and guests. My name is Christopher Figueroa, and I am a PVCC and Club Z alum. Z is a change movement. While many of you have heard of Club Zeitgeist or Club Z in the past, we have adapted, changed, and grown since then. And the club is only a fraction of who we are today. Z's overall vision is to create and facilitate opportunities for student success, career success, and life success, while also awakening organizations with the infusion of entrepreneurial mindset and behaviors. Here's how Z has impacted me. So I grew up in poverty with gang members and drug dealers as family, but I knew that that was not who I was. So at 25, I enrolled at PVCC with hopes in finding out who Christopher Figueroa really was. At first, the traditional classrooms did not tap into the epiphany I had so longed for. But when I completed my first Z reflection project, I began to find little pieces of me. Z empowered me to dig deep and recognize my own talents and strengths. So I started going to Club Z meetings and became Club Z president soon thereafter. My involvement in Z led to many opportunities on campus, including employment with the ACE program, which I dearly love, and earning the All-USA Scholarship last year. Most importantly, Z has awakened the social entrepreneur that's developing in me through all my turbulent upbringing. I'm supposed to be going through this, I believe, so. It's okay, it's the same on both slides, the picture changes, and that's it. All right. So my involvement with Z also allowed me to participate in campus, district, and local pitch contests. When I won $7,500 from the Social Venture Partners Ed Pitch, I knew I wanted to invest in Z, and so began the Z Connect Scholarship Fund. Within the year, the fund has grown, there's a picture change, the fund has grown to $20,555. Yeah, within a year. But when my employment at the community college was unable to continue past June due to policy and lengthy processes, I was tempted by my peers to return to my previous lifestyle. Fortunately, I remembered what I had acquired through Z and decided to transform my interests into my career. Yesterday, Christopher Figueroa LLC was founded, which and I'm gonna use that entity to combine my love for glass blowing with my passion for serving at-risk youth. So today, you can support a social entrepreneur and many others like me with a donation of $100 or more. This is for everybody, okay? Directly to the Z Connect Scholarship Fund, you will be able to take home your very own, very unique, one-of-a-kind Christopher Figueroa Z paperweight. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Hannah Wiles, president of Club Z at PVCC, who will share what Club Z is at PVCC and how it can become, and what it can become on any other college campus. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. So for Club Z, the formal description of who we are and what we do, we are as if you can't tell yet, a fun and creative and innovative student success club where strivers and thrivers work together towards individual and team goals to prepare for entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, and our own personal life aspirations. We meet on every Tuesday as of right now at 12 o'clock in our cafe where we can kind of have a buzz around other students who are doing other things. They can come in and check and see how we're doing, what we're doing, and how they can get involved. So people feel confident, we believe, to come in and check in on us and see what we're doing. And they also feel confident that they don't have to come to the actual Tuesday meetings to be involved. We have lots of people who are doing lots of great, awesome things all over our campus. And you don't have to show up to the individual meetings. We want people to make connections, and that goes past our Tuesdays at noon. So there's lots and lots of ways for different students on our campuses on our campus to be involved. Right now, there are over 300 students who've completed a Club Z Achievement Award. And with that in mind, I would like to introduce you to a couple of them. So first, we have Makailah Barnes, one of our Z Achievers at Paradise Valley Community College.
All right. Thank you, Hannah. So I want to talk about what Z means to me. So Z to me means community, similar to the shirt that I made here, where all the hands are coming together to make Z. So I'm actually currently the CEO of Z to Me, which is a service that I want to offer here on my community college, PVCC. That is a service for digital art students to have their art posted on t-shirts, what Z means to them. So Z to me is community, so I want to know what Z means to them. So at the moment, I design posters, and I'm currently reaching out to students to see how many people are interested, because I am also mainly interested in spreading that joy on campus. So I would like to bring up Jack Brown.
Thank you, Makailah. If you cannot tell by the picture of the guy holding the camera, I am the director of photography for Club Z. What Z means to me is being able to be as creative as you want, because in photography you have to look at different aspects of life through certain lenses, and those lenses can do different things. So similar to Club Z, I'm able to look at different aspects of entrepreneurship, not just through what a lot of people consider entrepreneurship as business, but through different creative avenues. And as the director of photography, my achievement award was taking photographs at the March 9th NACI conference, and I had a lot of fun. I met new people like the Chancellor, and I got more connected with Dr. Dale and President Ruiz, and it was just amazing meeting all those new people and getting connected with them, and meeting right now at the board meeting. I just honestly can't believe I'm here. So thank you all so much for the opportunity, and now I'd like to welcome my friend Amanda.
Thank you, Jack. Hi, I'm Amanda McLeod. It says I'm the CEO of the fridge, which is probably the weirdest one up there. I'll explain that in a second, I guess. To me, Z is growth and creativity. I don't know if you probably can't tell, but if you were at the NACE conference, you can definitely tell. I used to be very shy and awkward, and I would never speak out, and I never did anything in high school. I was very kind of in my shell. I didn't really want to do anything ever. But after people reached out from me from Club Z, I've managed to grow into I'm going to be in the leadership position, one of them next year for Club Z. I'm going to leadership in the summer, and it's a lot of growth for me, and I'm proud of myself. My project is the fridge, it's called that because it's a giant magnetic whiteboard, and people submit their artwork or their poetry, and it's a community thing, and anyone can submit artwork, poetry, and it's posted up there for a couple of weeks, and it's to build a community of artists and creators on campus, so that we can have that network. It also gets people used to more comfortable with putting their artwork out there for exposure reasons and everything like that. And so that's what I'm working on right now. It's going to kick off in the fall. And yeah. Matthew, your turn.
Alrighty. Hello, I'm Matthew. I'm the director of videography for Club Z. And I guess what Club Z sort of means to me is it's a mixture of two things, but it's bringing sort of creativity and making it sort of that you can be sort of successful from it. And also it's about collaboration, because as someone who's really into film and movies are all about a collaboration between hundreds or thousands of people. It's not just one person or one vision. It's all those people putting the pieces together to make one cohesive art. And as a director of videography, I guess what I've done is I actually shot some of the conference, and I think I interviewed a couple of you guys up there. And it's also editing the videos that I shoot for Club Z, and also sort of coming up with ideas or concepts with Karen, Professor SATA. Yeah, and I guess with that, we're going to lead back to Hannah.
Thank you, Matthew, and to the whole Club Z team. You can tell why we're so proud of everybody that's in the Club Z group at Paradise Valley Community College. So just a little bit about, I guess that was not, whatever. Okay, a little bit about my story of how Club Z has really affected and changed my life. So I started out in Dr. Sada's class, and somehow I found my way as the club president of Club Z currently. And, I've found opportunities all across Maricopa, so I know all about all of the great things that you have created for students, and from Student Public Policy Forum to being able to be here and talk with you this evening. I have also received the All Arizona Academic First Team and the Coca-Cola Bronze Scholarship as well. So this really has opened up so many doors for me. I graduate in about 3 weeks and 2 days, I think. No one's keeping track, though. No one's counting. No, it's fine. I'm not stressed. And I head to ASU next semester to pursue my undergraduate degree in philosophy, morality, politics, and law, with my sights set on law school. So this club has given me a really unique opportunity to evolve as a student leader, a social entrepreneur, and a pursuer of civic change. For this opportunity, for Dr. Sada, for Club Z, I am so entirely thankful. As you can see, Club Z is now showing up all over the district, if you didn't notice us here tonight. And the easiest way to learn about Club Z is through the Club Z Canvas page that anybody can enroll in. I'm sure you have already pulled that up and are going to go do that this evening, right? Now, with our partnership with Dr. Sherry Olson's Legacy Group, almost all of our campuses in Maricopa have an ambassador listed. Oh, they all do. 10 for 10. We got them all. So that's great. Listed in our Club Z Canvas page. So thank you. Thank you to the college presidents and the ambassadors who are supporting our collaboration. The Club Z Canvas page is where you can find out about the Z Connect Scholarship Fund. We now have $20,555 in the fund, and any Maricopa student will be eligible for that scholarship next spring. We are entrepreneurial, and we show this by bringing in more money than we spend. So we practice leveraging resources instead of using up funds. I just wanted to say one more time, thank you very much for letting us share with you this evening. We hope that you notice that there's something very special about Club Z. Now, I'd like to take just one quick second and show you our brand new video starring our very own Chancellor, and just to invite everyone to the Club Z campus page one more time. So I think that is...
Welcome to our collaboration and welcome to the Club Z Canvas. This is a place where any student and any employee of the Maricopa colleges can come to connect, to collaborate under the broad topics of innovation and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, all of us have entrepreneurial talent that we use in different ways.
Through service, learning, and civic engagement.
Research and the arts.
And of course, starting businesses and serving our community as social entrepreneurs.
Here in Maricopa, we have 21st century skills and entrepreneurial talent that our colleges and communities need us to share. Look around this canvas and the resources and connect with each other. Thank you for being role models of entrepreneurship and innovation.
Let's get back to work.
Thank you, Hannah, and the rest of the students. It is very apparent that you're having fun while you're also being entrepreneurial. We are now at Citizens Interim. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the governing board. In compliance with the open meeting law, the governing board will neither discuss nor take action on issues raised during this portion of the agenda. When necessary, issues will be taken under advisement and placed on subsequent agendas. Presenting concerns to the board and the free expression of ideas should be communicated with decorum and respect. Uncivil or disorderly conduct is not permitted. The use of derisive or insulting language or the direction of remarks that defame, attack, or harass an individual may serve as cause for the board president to direct that the speaker immediately conclude his or her remarks. We do have 10 speakers this evening. It appears that most of you are addressing the same or a similar topic. You will each have up to 3 minutes, which means we'll have a total of possibly 30 minutes of remarks. So I would ask that you not repeat what a previous speaker has said. Rather, you can simply indicate your agreement or disagreement with what the previous speaker said. First, Susan Moore.
President Thor, governing board members, and Chancellor Report. My name is Susan Moore, and I am English faculty at Scottsdale Community College. I've been there 26 years. I've also been a member of the Faculty Association for 26 years. And I think that if you ask anyone on my campus, they won't identify a fiercer advocate for treating faculty and all employees just and right. At the end of next academic year, my plan is to retire with 27 years in Maricopa and 30 years in ARS. Not here out of self-interest. In 1993, so I'm talking about the vote of no confidence for the Chancellor. In 1993, I was hired at Scottsdale, and I considered myself the luckiest person on the planet. We had 12,000 students, lots of money. I loved my students. I loved my college. And every day I got to see the transformation, other than raising my own children, being part of the transformation that comes from teaching and being part of second chances for some students and just stimulation and growth for others. Today, we have 8,000 students and no money. So there's been a dramatic change over 26 years, but still they've been very, very happy years, and we haven't changed much about how we're doing business. Except for that in English, I'm the footsie cash cow, is what we call it, math being a close second. And yet we haven't had a residential line in 5 years, because with declining, the greatest threat to residential lines is, of course, declining enrollment. When Mary Harper Marinick was named as the interim chancellor, I remember sending her an email thinking, oh, I'm so glad, because for anyone who's known Maria Harper Marinick, she's a get things done kind of person. I likened her to a Marine, she gets more done in the morning than I get done in like 3 days. So I was very happy, because I thought this is the thing that will turn things around. So when she decided to insisted on a national search, that was entirely predictable, because her behavior is consistent and constant all the time, so it was absolutely predictable. She's always been a faculty advocate, promoting faculty professional growth, and my own personal experiences, she's never once said anything that wasn't absolutely true. So when this vote of no confidence emerged, it was very upsetting, and I'm running out of time. And I thought, in much of this, it can't get worse. And then Saturday, it got worse. And I thought, what have we become? This is an iconic image. And it's an image that entered our landscape in May 7th, 1945, on Time magazine. And I thought, what have we done to someone who has spent 25 years of her life promoting accessible and affordable education? This is not the Maricopa that made me feel like the luckiest person on the planet.
Our next speaker is Donna Slaughter.
I didn't want to follow Susan Moore. The most stressful part of this is figuring out the order. So President Thor, board members, Chancellor Harper Marinick, CEC members, and community. My name is Donna Slaughter, and I'm a residential faculty member in mathematics at Scottsdale Community College. I am grateful to have had a long, and I feel productive, and I think most of my students would agree, career of over 25 years as a residential faculty member in the Maricopa system. And like Susan, I have felt for all of those years to be one of the luckiest people alive. Like every day when I leave, I have to look over my shoulder and make sure, does anybody else know how cool this is and how much fun I have and what a great gig this is, teaching in Maricopa? But I want to say that I support the work that is being done by our Chancellor, Maria Harper Marinick. I do not support the recent vote of no confidence. I am proud that our SCC Senate voted against the BNC and that our name did not appear on the final BNC document. You may be curious as to why SCC voted against the BNC. I don't know all of the reasons, but I can give you some of the items on my list, and many of my colleagues at SCC share the same sentiments. First of all, I am confident in the leadership of our Chancellor. Such an action against her is unwarranted and completely illogical. I'm a math person, so logic is really important. Number two, to me, a vote of no confidence is a nuclear option. There are many steps that can and could have been taken prior to going nuclear in this situation. My husband will tell you I don't like to go nuclear. I like to do baby steps. Number three, a VNC against the Chancellor is not good for enrollment, not good for Maricopa, and divides our faculty at a time when we need to stand together and stand with members of our administration and the board as Maricopa rises to meet its future. As a longtime faculty member, I am sad and embarrassed at the actions of my colleagues around this VNC. The Chancellor is not the enemy of the faculty, and faculty do not need to prove themselves a worthy foe. We do not need to be a foe at all. We need to be a partner. We need to find a way to work, to mend the fences that are broken, and move forward together. It is still my hope that this will happen. Thank you.
Paula Connors.
Hello, good evening, President Dr. Thor, and the members of the board, and Chancellor Dr. Makailah Barnes, and members of the Chancellor's Executive Council and our community. I'm Paula Islas Connors, and I have had the privilege also of working in this awesome educational institution for almost 30 years. Okay. For about 25 of those years, I've had the privilege of working with our Chancellor. I remember her starting with us as an intern, as a PhD intern from ASU in our Maricopa Center for Learning and Instruction. I know now it's innovation, but at the time it was the MCLI. And working in there, and then became the instructional designer there, and then the director for that department, and working very closely with faculty and faculty development in the MCLI, and then working as our vice chancellor for academic and student affairs, and then our provost and our chancellor. Throughout her career, our chancellor has always been focused on student success. If you spend 5 minutes with our chancellor, you know that that is her life's mission and that that is her passion. Everything about what she does on a daily basis in this institution is about student success. 3 minutes isn't very long for me to be able to tell you how much I respect and admire her and wish I could do some of the things that you've done. She's also personally been my mentor, and she has taught me a lot. She was my mentor also when I did my thesis for my master's program in instructional design at ASU. I had her look at my paper, and it came back all bloody. I'm like, oh my God. She goes, you didn't do this isn't clear, oh my God, I came back crying. Cindy goes, what's the matter? I go, oh, she hated it. I came back, I took her advice, I put it all to use. I defended that thesis, and the panel there said that that was one of the best that they had seen in the last 10 years. Thank you very much. Our chancellor has been recognized for her work, throughout all of our communities. She's been recognized on a state level and on a national level, and everybody seems to appreciate and recognize her work and appreciate her for it, except our very own here at the colleges, and not everybody. I'm so glad to hear that. And it's just amazing to me on that. And like I said, I don't have very much time to do that. I do want to finish on the fact there that Dr. Makailah Barnes works tirelessly for our students. This is what we're about. We're a community college system. It's all about our students and their success and how much we mean to them and they mean to us. And I cast my vote of complete confidence in our chancellor, Dr. Makailah Barnes.
Andrea Garcia Zamora.
Good evening, President Thor, members of the board, and Chancellor Harper-Marinick, and distinguished guests. Thank you for allowing comments to be made. My name is Denise Garcia Zamora. I graduated from Paradise Valley Community College in May of 2018 and transferred to the University of Arizona's main campus down in Tucson. This is my first time being in Phoenix for a while, so it's good to be home, and it's so nice to see you all. I come before the board to speak to you in support of Dr. Maria Harper-Marinick and the leadership qualities that she possesses. Strong leadership qualities that I feel as though people have forgotten in the midst of the most recent events. I first met Dr. Maria Harper-Marinick at a Q&A event that she came to speak to students, and she opened up about struggles that she faced and faces as a chancellor, difficult policies that she's had to implement, and above all, how she keeps in mind the most important factor that keeps the district going, the students. Although I graduated a year ago, that is the one thing that I see missing in this room is former classmates on their input on the vote of no confidence, since this meeting has coincidentally been placed a week before our finals begin, and the next couple weeks being followed by convocations and graduation ceremonies. Several points that I would like to make on why Dr. Maria Harper-Marinick's leadership has been the most impactful for students and the district. Number one, I believe Maricopa Community Colleges has had a stronger presence in the community and with government officials, which was not the case in previous administrations. Number two, Dr. Maria Harper-Marinick successfully was able to put Maricopa Community Colleges back on the state budget. And number three, the personal relationships she creates and maintains with students will come back around full circle when we all graduate and get into our respective fields. Dr. Maria Harper-Marinick is the leadership definition of integrity, collaborative, empathy, honesty, inspirational, and she leads the example in administration of her commitment to have students as the main priority. I'm currently studying political science with an emphasis in law and public policy, and when I graduate, I hope that I can become half the woman you are, and if so, all will be well in my community. So thank you for everything that you've done, and I'm so grateful to know you. Thank you so much.
Denise Garcia.
Good evening, very tall. Good evening, President Thor, members of the board, Chancellor Maria Harper-Marinick, and guests. My name is Denise Garcia. I am a 16-year-old junior at Mesa High School who is currently enrolled in the ACE scholarship program at Mesa Community College. I am here today to share my experience as a student at Mesa Community College. For those not familiar with the ACE program, it stands for Achieving a College Education. This program provides high school students with an insight into college. Let me repeat that. This program provides high school students an insight into college. I attend class every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and spend 5 weeks over the summer at MCC. By the end of my enrollment with the ACE program, I will graduate with 24 credits. I was encouraged to apply for the ACE program by my sister, Denise Garcia, who not so long before me was an ACE student as well. Throughout my enrollment in the ACE program, I have been able to view another side of me. The ACE program has allowed me to take a walk through a new path and experience what a college freshman has in store for their first year of college before I even leave high school. I am here to state that my experience at Mesa Community College as a high school student would not be what it is without the leadership of Chancellor Maria Harper-Marinick. However, not only has Chancellor Maria impacted my life and education, she has impacted the educational career of my sister Deyanira as well. My sister Deyanira currently attends Mesa Community College at the Red Mountain campus. She is a DACA recipient who is currently on track to receive an associate's in science. Deyanira is also currently the president of MUS, which stands for Mesa Undocumented Students Thriving. As the president of MUS, she has been able to seek different educational opportunities and get in touch with impactful organizations that have changed her life forever. An organization that my sister got in touch with after her tenure as president of MUS was Aliento. Aliento has definitely expanded her opportunities. Through Aliento, she has been able to meet with Chancellor Maria. Deyanira states, when in-state tuition for DACA recipients was taken away, she made sure that I could have someone to reach out to for help. My sister is especially grateful for the leadership of Chancellor Maria, as she is an encouraging individual who is supportive of the DACA community. The leadership of Chancellor Maria has changed our lives drastically. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that you consider Student Voices and Chancellor Maria's leadership as a whole, as she has always been an inspiration and has made an impact with her students.
Johanna Haver.
Good evening, Dr. Thor, board members, CEC. Did I leave anyone out? Oh, of course, Chancellor Harper Marinick. And yes, I'm very happy to be here this evening. I speak as a former board member, one accused of having acted improperly, mostly for voting to end the meet and confer process. I am delighted that there were so many people here in support of our chancellor. She really deserves it, and she absolutely did not deserve that article in the Arizona Republic. For one thing, the first article was only 280 words long, with one sentence in support of Dr. Marinick, versus an 880-word thesis by a former board president that lambasted her quite unfairly, in my opinion. He has had it in for her he had it in for her since she let go, or she did not renew a contract of one of his friends, and she couldn't even meet with him because he was so rude to her. She could only go to public places because of his behavior. And whereas I was the one who nominated him at the time to be president, I regret that. But I can tell you, I do not regret my vote to end meet and confer. I think it is needed in this district. I do believe that the Teachers Association has too much power, and that it does keep us from going as far as we could in education. And I'll give you examples. Administrators cannot go into a classroom without permission beforehand. I've never heard of that before, and I've taught in other countries. That lack of openness is surprising to me. I personally learned from people coming in and observing me. I wanted to hear if there was something I could do better. I think that's a very important part of developing as an instructor, and that's one thing that I think should be corrected. The manual states, and I brought the manual with me, I've read the entire book, that the faculty should exercise their best effort to ensure topics are relevant to their subjects, but nowhere are they required to do so. Thus, college instructors are allowed to push political agenda, talk about personal problems, or for something else. Instructors are guaranteed pretty much job security once they've reached the point of being a residential faculty member. And so they have a job for life, and they're protected, whether they do a good job, a mediocre job, or a lousy job. The welfare is put above, their welfare is put above that too many times of the students. In contrast, back in 1979 to 80, I was able to find an old manual and that required all teachers to be observed and advised regularly and specifically of their strengths, weaknesses, and progress for the purpose of determining the desirability of their continued employment or appointee status.
Mrs. Haver, it's wonderful to see you, but we need you to conclude your
Oh, okay.
remarks.
Well, I would like the faculty association to look at what they're doing. They're fine people. I know them all personally. They're excellent instructors, as are most of our faculty members. But you can always do better. And you cannot do better if you don't have a process in place that is quite different from what we have right now. And so I would urge everybody to go ahead with ending meet and confer and come up with a policy, a new policy manual, one that would make it possible for the chancellor to guarantee that Maricopa does everything to maintain high standards of instruction in every single classroom. What a great slogan one could create from that. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Carmen Cornejo.
Good evening, Board President Thor, members of the Board of Directors, Chancellor Dr. Maria Harper Marinek, and presidents of the community colleges. My name is Carmen Cornejo, and I'm here to the board meeting to express my support to Chancellor Maria Harper Marinek as a member of the community. I believe the situation that Maricopa County Community Colleges District is experiencing right now is very unfortunate, but it has become too extreme. And it gets all community upset about it. I totally get the frustration of the Faculty Senate for the elimination of the media confer process, which decision was taken by the board and put our chancellor in a no-win situation. My piece on the Arizona Republic made it clear. We as community are interested in the community college to prepare our young and update everyone else for the current and future workforce. I pressed Chancellor Maria Harper Marinek for the implementation of innovative approaches to STEM education, such as the creation of the IT Institute and the program Everybody Can Code. The Chancellor knows our community. She knows that many young people and their parents are having a tough time to access higher education, and she is promoting programs in hybrid and traditional formats that will bring education at lower cost and can put the students in job entry-level jobs at high-tech companies building apps for iPhones and iPads. And that can be a fast-track mode to a better future. This is my area of advocacy and interest, but the community college in Maricopa offers so many other valuable programs for all because it's a very mighty institution. Additionally, Maricopa County Community Colleges is the most trusted and most accessible institution for higher education, and for that reason, I advise students and families to enter to any of the colleges for a superb educational experience. And it's time to move on the politics. Chancellor Maria Harper Marinek has my support, the support of my family, and many of my friends who remain very puzzled about this animosity against her. Again, thanks for the opportunity to speak and express my humble opinion. And for the sake of the students and this magnificent institution, let's move on. Thank you.
Donna Winston.
President Thor, Governing Board members, Chancellor Maria Harper Marinek, CEC, employees, and general public. My name is Donna Winston, and I have been an employee for over 24 years. I started out as a part-time student worker, worked up to full-time, and have been here at district office itself for almost 19 years. I've been very active with the employee groups for almost as long. A little history for you to consider. The employee groups and associations were formed back in May of 1990 with the purpose to advocate on behalf of employees designated by Maricopa Community College District. Also in May of 1990, the governing board adopted a resolution agreeing to negotiate with the employee groups. Each succeeding year, the governing board renewed its agreement by adopting policy which acknowledged the employee group's existence and allows its use of district resources to conduct its official business. We work collaboratively through a process referred to as all collaborative policy development. Dr. Thor, I know how hard you worked on making that group happen and the reasonable for the success and transparency we have achieved in the beginning and continued its success until the employee groups were disbanded without the authority of the association members themselves, and from there a new group was formed, hence the beginning of the problems for employees and the employee group associations. From there, we lost our voice in every sense of the word. We no longer had the input and the collaboration of all CPD, which was very vital. I have spoken to well over 300 Maricopa employees, and everyone I spoke to wants the employee groups back along with the associations intact. 2014 was the last time we had a voice as a collective whole, the last time we had significant raise, the last time we ratified our portion of the policy manual, the last time we were transparent. On behalf of many employees, I personally would like to ask you to consider to bring back the employee groups. Let us all have our voices be heard once again, and please restore the items we lost and the benefits we negotiated through all CPD. So many of us fought so hard for the betterment of our employees. I also want to express one other item. We know the importance of our faculty. They are very important. However, our staff and administration are equally important. One cannot exist without the other. And I am here to also share a whole lot of us do not agree with the VNC regarding our chancellor. She has always been kind. She has always been available to talk to about the employee concerns, issues, wins, and let's not forget her willingness to mentor, for I know I've learned a lot. She has always focused on students as our number one priority, for without them, we don't exist. Does she hold us at a higher standard? Absolutely, but so did my mother. I'm not comparing you to Mom, don't worry. God rest her soul. My hope is you consider all the employees here at Maricopa, not just a handful of them, before you make a decision based on information which, in my opinion, was not accurate at most or limited information at least. Chancellor Harper-Marinick, as so many employees have your vote of confidence, or our vote of confidence in you, and you definitely have mine. And if anybody wants more information on the VNC, of the inaccuracy of the information, you can email me at info@maricopaemployees.org, because a lot of it started prior to our new chancellor being chancellor. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Reggie Monroe.
Hello, everyone. President Thor, members of the governing board, Chancellor and members of CEC, and anyone else in the nice chairs that I may have missed. I see you guys got new chairs. Pretty. So I speak here in a dual role. I'm still a student. I enrolled at Phoenix College last year and started the paramedic program in March, and our program ended in February. And while we had that graduation, our official graduation is not until May. So I'll be shaking Dr. Johnson's hand, I hope. Walking on stage, if I get my English 102 accepted substitution. I'm submitting my dissertation. I'm hoping that's good enough. No, I'm kidding. They did accept it, actually. I did have to pull the dissertation word. So I've served in many capacities at the Maricopa District. I've been a faculty member since 2000, and I've been an association member for 19 years. And I stand here speaking today feeling really weird because I always speak my voice when I see an injustice and when I don't agree with something. And, Dr. Thor and I have a history of that in the past, but I've always respected her position, and with her I've learned a lot about agreeing and disagreeing. So we agree to disagree, and that is where I am tonight. So I want to begin by telling all of you that this morning, Chancellor Harper-Marinick began her day at my college. And she was invited to speak to our CPD course that many of you know focuses on helping students learn how to figure out college, but then also what careers they're going to actually pursue and get into. And the students couldn't believe that the Chancellor of the Maricopa District was coming to their class, all right? And they were ready, and they had questions. And I'm sure they asked you a lot of stuff. I couldn't come because I had office hours and had to prepare for class. But I know that it was something that was very, very much appreciated. And I was anxious to hear about how it went. But for me, I believe that one of the fundamental premises behind our transformation initiative is to serve our students. And having now been a student myself, I see the importance of that even more. All right, I believe that this district is for serving students, and our chancellor has done that. My concern with this vote of no confidence is about that. It's going to affect the students the most. All right, as a faculty, yeah, the meet and confer thing and the complete destruction of the meet and confer process and how it all went down, I didn't appreciate at all. But this vote of no confidence was not initiated the way I would have expected it by my president of the Faculty Association sending an email, explaining things, telling us what was going on. It was an email sent at 6:17 a.m. or around there, where it started starting to raise the smell of, hey, maybe we should do this. And it wasn't the president. And I thought that was really weird. And it continued to get weird as the week continued, and no information coming from my president. So I don't know what all has gone on behind the scenes. I had a whole lot more in here to read, and I'll be happy to send it out tomorrow to a DL all everything, which I will. But I'm completely opposed to this. I don't stand with my faculty. It's very weird. I stand with the students of this district, and I support and have the full support of Chancellor Harper-Marinick, because without her, the program that I'm in right now would not have happened. So thank you.
Thor, I had submitted my name to speak about the VNC issue. Mona Scott, did you?
I'm sorry. I did have yours. My apologies.
All right.
I somehow overlooked it.
All right, I'll
All
go
right,
now.
please proceed.
Thank you so much. My name is Mona. Dignitaries.
That's fine.
Thank you. I would just like to say that, echoing everyone else who's come up before me, that a lot of what has taken place with this VNC was not discussed at Mesa. It was very confusing, and like someone said, it was like the nuclear option. My experience with the chancellor has always been positive, and one of the criticisms was that the chancellor was not supportive of faculty. She has served as a mentor on people's dissertation and master's thesis committees. If that is not commitment and dedication, I do not know what it is. What is, because that is a painful process for the students and the committee members. So I would just like to say that I have every confidence in the chancellor. I think she's a wonderful leader. She's an amazing role model, and I've known her for 20 years. I've been in the district 20 years. I teach at Mesa Community College, and she supported me in MCLI. I was an MIL fellow, and she was supportive of me. Most of the colleagues I've spoken to in the Cultural Science Department at Mesa Community College were shocked at the VNC. We didn't know what had occurred and why. And so this was a very rushed process. And I just want to express that there are probably hundreds of faculty that do not agree with the vote of no confidence. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
We now move to consideration of the consent agenda items. All items with an asterisk are consent matters unless they are removed from the consent agenda at this time. Do any board members or the chancellor wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Dr. Narini.
I'd like to remove 9.1, the approval of proposed new governing board, student board member.
Thank you. We're removing 9.1. Any other items?
Yes,
Mr.
I'd
Hendricks?
like to remove 9.2, please.
9.1 and 9.2. Any others? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 9.1 and 9.2? been moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda passes 7-0. Moving to 9.1, proposed new governing board policy 4.3 on a student board member. I need a motion and a second, please.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Dr. Narini?
Yes, I'd just like to amend it so that the scholarship, we increase the scholarship from $500 a semester to $1,000 a semester to help cover the cost of tuition for a full-time student.
It's been moved that we amend the action from $500 each semester to $1,000. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Dr. Narini, then Mrs. McGrath.
Yeah, looking over the recommendation and justification, we can see that we admit that it's going to take a substantial time commitment on the students, and we're asking for the student perspective in the issues that we're dealing with. We're asking the student to explain to other students what the board is doing and the policies and procedures that we do. We're asking basically for a student consultant to help us get a perspective of the students, because no offense, Mr. Sarr, but it's been a long time since we've been a student and know what the perspective of a student. And when we require the student to be a full-time student, we're eliminating 2/3 of our students. 2/3 of our students are part-time students. So that leaves 1/3 of our students to help represent the rest of the students. And when you consider that at every college, over half their students are on some sort of financial aid, and we are requesting a substantial amount of time with these students to prepare for these meetings, to communicate with other students, to offer their perspective, that's going to leave them precious little time to work and earn the money for that it's going to cost to go to school. And then if I remember our budget meeting earlier, I saw a quasi-endowment fund for things that we can use for $20 million. I think we can squeeze out just another $500 a semester to do that, or the $500,000 scholarship fund. I think maybe we can squeeze out a couple $80 more a month to help support a full-time student to participate and give us their most valuable input on the policy, because after all, we've been hearing all night long, we're here for the students. So I encourage us all, if we truly want to put students first, let's help them. Let's help them do what's right to give us their perspective and communicate with other students.
Mrs. McGrath.
I'll pass.
Are there any other comments or questions on the amendment? Okay. All those in favor of the amendment to increase the scholarship from $500 a semester to $1,000, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
I think we need a roll call. Mr. Hendricks.
Nay.
Dr. Narini.
Aye.
Mrs. Sullivan.
After chairing the budget committee, I vote yes.
Mrs. Nguyen.
Nay.
Mrs. McGrath.
Nay.
Mr. Sarr. And I vote yes. The amendment fails 4-3. Are there any questions or comments on the original motion? Yes, Mr. Sarr.
This is our first year, and we've had this discussion since I've been on the board 9 years. It's finally at a point now where we're going to get a student up here. This is going to be a learning year for us. We've talked about a lot of already changes we might look at in the future, but if we continue to have that discussion, we'll never get a person sitting up here that can represent students. So the $500 I think is a good start. If we find that we can't get the representation that we need up here for $500 scholarship, we'll look at some other alternatives. But let's get this started with what we have first. And I think This will be an awesome thing for the board, for the foreseeable and long-term future, and I think we can revisit a lot of things about this in a year from now.
Mrs. Nguyen.
Thank you, Dr. Thor. I also want to let people know that we will compensate the student for travel reimbursement like we are compensated. So it's not that we're not trying to cover their expenses. So we will do everything we can. I also agree with Mr. Sarr's comments.
Thank you. I also want to clarify, because I think there's been some confusion about this language, that the intent of this board policy is not necessarily that the student board member will be a student who is currently participating in the Student Public Policy Forum, but rather in light of there not being a district-wide student senate or some other district-wide representative body, we're asking, at least for this first year, that the Student Public Policy Forum develop a process to solicit applications to be the student board member, and then to make a recommendation of the student to serve. But certainly, since the chancellor indicated in her remarks earlier that a student senate is under consideration at this time, we can revisit this policy next year if we want to make a change in how that student board member is selected. With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Mr. Hendricks, you voted nay?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. The motion passes 6-1. We now move to 9.2, resolution of the Maricopa County Community College District Governing Board extending the deadlines pertaining to the creation of the faculty agreement. I need a motion and a second, please.
Dr. Thor, it was just pointed out to me that the title of the item in the blue agenda doesn't match the title of the item in the peach form.
You're right.
So we will make sure that what's on the official agenda gets changed.
Thank you.
To be exactly the same language as what
is on the
in-
action
on the
item.
actual item, yes.
Correct.
I
Thank you.
apologize for that.
Motion and second, please.
I move that we approve the resolution as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Hendricks?
I don't have any comments. I just want the option to vote no.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
The motion passes 5-2 with Mrs. McGrath and Mr. Hendricks voting no. This brings us to first readings. We have the proposed fiscal year 2019-20 budget. We did spend an hour and a half on that topic this afternoon in the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Are there any other questions or comments?
Dr. Thor, if I may.
Yes, Mrs. Sullivan.
We had a very productive, I thought, work session earlier this afternoon, today. And with that, I wanted to comment that the thoroughness and the philosophical value-based representation of what we're looking forward to as a budget is certainly something that I think can benefit this district moving forward. So with that, I would like, if there are no further comments, I would like to make a motion that we...
This is first reading.
I realize it's first reading. We don't need a motion
Correct.
for first reading?
Correct.
Well, then, thank you very much. Yeah, I motion the first read, whatever that means. I promise I will learn all of the rules. But again, it was a very thorough presentation. We have work ahead of us. We may, in fact, and we'll plan another work session to address any further comments and conversation.
Thank you. 14.1, employments. regular, short-term, specially funded, and separations. Any comments or questions?
Yes.
Mrs. McGrath.
Our student enrollment has dropped. I think we're down about 20% district-wide. And we have 21 people leaving and 20 people replacing them. I think we could do a little bit better job with paring down our staff. I cannot imagine why we need a full staff when we've had such a huge reduction in students. And I'd certainly appreciate it if everyone would work hard to not replace everyone that leaves. Thank you.
Thank you. The monitoring reports, 15.1, the budget analysis report. Any comments or questions? 15.2, review the bond report as of March 31st, 2019. Any comments or questions? If not, we'll move to governing board reports of current events summary. Mr. Sarr.
Well, we're starting the fun time of the year where we get to watch the success of our students in terms of graduations and other functions, and it's kind of the reason we sit here, actually. I just want to point out one event that I went to that is kind of the first of these. It was at the Chandler Gilbert Community College, and it's the Emerging Science and Mathematics Scholars Award. I've been there almost every year that I've been on this board, and it's one of those events where you get a real opportunity to see students and what they started from and where they are in their math and science courses. And it's they're great stories, great kids of all ages, and I encourage everybody in this room to take the next month and really celebrate the success of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. McGrath.
Thank you. We've had some wonderful events to be able to attend. It's just been great. We had one where we had all of the mentors and the mentees last Friday. Apparently a program that's been going on for a long time, very successful with our employees, and it was a resounding success, and I loved being there. I've been very troubled by all these attacks upon our chancellor, and I was especially dismayed by the reasons that the faculty gave for her vote of no confidence. They're very concerned because she did not stand up to the board when the board voted to remove, meet, and confer. I don't know how long you think anybody holds their job if their boss makes a decision and they march right up to him and say, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, shame on you. The chancellor's supposed to do what the board tells her to do, and she has been doing exactly that, and I'm very pleased that she's our chancellor. Thank you.
Mrs. Nguyen.
We have such a wonderful college system, and the last 2 weeks have been really hard because if you really care about our students and you really care about what we're doing in the product, we've just trashed our brand in the community, and we are so much better than what we've been doing. And I just have a request that we take our successes and we start really putting those out there, and that we work out our differences as professionals, as business people, as the educators that you are. If you've worked together for 20, 25 years, whatever it is, you know each other. So when you know someone as well as you do, you can really get at them because you know them. But I know that the people in this room are committed to our students, to our community, to our business leaders. And so I hope that tonight can be like a line of demarcation and that we can move forward with everything that we have that's positive that we're doing. And I believe that enrollment will increase, and we have an opportunity in Maricopa as the fastest growing county in the country to do the things that we were designed to do, which is support our K-12 system, support our kids in high school, work with opportunity youth, and get our kids ready to go to college or go out into the workforce. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So I hope that we'll use our energy and our resources to do that. Thank you.
Mrs. Sullivan.
First of all, I want to thank everyone who's been here this evening. We appreciate your time, your energy, and your commitment to the district, and certainly celebrate that you have reached another successful year educating students, guiding them to student success. And that includes all of you. That includes the students who will be celebrating with certificates and diplomas and all of those wonderful things soon. It includes the faculty, both adjunct and residential, that spend their time behind the scenes preparing to be the best that they can be for our students. And it includes certainly our classified staff and others. And with that, I'd like to acknowledge that we have an incredible leader for the board, Miss Donna Beamer, and in the light of tomorrow being Administrative Support Day. So would you please join me in giving her a round of applause? You know, I need all the support I can get, as you can tell, to figure this out sometimes. And she's very good at keeping me on target. One of the things I wanted to comment on over the things that I've been able to represent this year or recently is attending also the Women's Mentoring Program graduation. It was named after Linda B. Rosenthal most recently, and when I was present this past week at that event, I had the delightful opportunity to sit next to her daughter. And as we were thinking through her leadership to this district over many, many years, and in fact, I now sit in the seat of the district that she represented, all of a sudden we all got teary. And remember that regardless of what the issue was, she had a point of view. And regardless of what the issue was, her point of view was known by everyone. But the one thing I remember very much about Miss Rosenthal was that she was a dedicated leader to this district. She acted fairly, she acted with integrity, she carried through on her points of view regardless of the political ramifications. She made us proud. I am honored to both sit in her seat, also Ms. Haver, yours. And I carry that with me because I think the most important thing for us to do as we reflect on our year is to know that we ourselves lead, have led, and will be leading with fairness and integrity over all of our decisions. I'd like to congratulate all the future grads in this room and wish everyone here the best of luck. Faculty, have a great time if you get time off after this. And to Mr. Champel and your team, those of you who have been leading the faculty, because I don't recognize here in the room others, leaders of the classified and or the adjunct, I'm sure you're here, just wave. Want to thank all of you. Oh, there you are. Wave your hands, you know, this is fun. I'd like to thank all of you for your leadership as well. It's, everyone makes a contribution to our students' success. We have good days, we have bad days. Let's look together for the good days and remember that we are about what happens in the next week or two, which is graduation and convocations. Thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Dr. Narini.
Well, thank you. Again, I want to thank and congratulate all the students and the staff and the faculty that have helped them to get to the finish line and to cross over this in the next few weeks. I think I'm the most fortunate person on the board because I get to work with the students before they come to the college. I'm very excited that I can hand them off to the college, to professors and staff and faculty that are going to care for them and they're going to take care of them. And you know, it makes me proud to be able to hand them off. I want to thank Dr. Leva Reese and GCC for hosting the fire muster. It's where they had about a dozen high schools who have fire programs. It was hosted at GCC a few weeks ago, and just Franklin Police and Fire actually took first place. I'm just saying. But also, I want to thank PC and South Mountain for doing their express enrollment to help our high school students get enrolled early. We have students enrolled already before they graduate high school to some of the community colleges because of the work that they've done. It's very successful. We have students who are already set with their classes. They got their ID, and they're very excited to be PC and South Mountain college students. So thank you all.
Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you. I'm hoping I can keep my comments coherent. I was scraping ice off my windshield this morning before I went to the airport to be here tonight. I'm trying to stay awake here. And looking at our agenda tonight, item 16, governing board reports. That's what we're doing right now. Under that it says current events summary. And I'd like to point out that's new. Normally it says governing board reports. That's all it says. The reason it says current event summary is I had emailed the chair and asked if we could have a vibrant discussion of the recent news events the last few weeks. And I didn't get any response, but it's not on the agenda, so we couldn't discuss it. And I'm sure there are many Orwellian reasons why we can't discuss it. But at the end of the day, speech of an elected member has been silenced because it's not on the agenda. So I looked up the Arizona Revised Statutes as to what can be said in a board report to see if I could speak in a board report without violating the law. And the word current events summary comes directly from the statute. It says an elected member of the body can give a current events summary. And then I was further cautioned as to what can be referred to as a current event summary. So given that, I'm not going to make any comment about the current events that have gone on, because as I say, there are many reasons that it's not on the agenda and we don't want a vibrant discussion. We want to stick to one side published in the newspaper and on the radio. What I can say is I've heard radio quotes, I've read the newspaper, I heard here tonight at this meeting, I heard comments that could be interpreted as representing the entire board. Tonight, the word "we" was used. In the newspaper, it referred to the board. On the radio, the word "we" was used. And the quotes may have been correct, they may not have been correct. But what I can say is none of those quotes represented me. And whoever "we" was tonight, it was not me. It may have been a faction of the board, may have been a majority of the board, may have been all of the board except me, but it was not me. Thank you.
Like many others on the board, I've been attending a lot of events during the last month with many, many more to go. Like many of you, this is my favorite time of the year because we get to celebrate our students and honor our employees. As has been mentioned, this is the last governing board meeting of the academic year. So for the students that are in the audience, good luck with your final exams coming up. And those of you who are graduating, congratulations. And I also would like to thank the faculty, staff, and administrators who work on behalf of our students day after day, week after week, month after month, in the interest of student success. And I hope that you all will find some time for rest and relaxation this summer. With that, I will entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We are adjourned.